Welcome to the Source Intelligence brief overview of European Regulation RoHS2. Today we are going to focus on three key items. What is RoHS2? Who is responsible for complying? And how to comply. The restriction of hazardous substances, often referred to as RoHS2, is a directive of the European Union. This regulation restricts 6 high-risk substances in electronic and electric equipment. The intention of RoHS2 is to protect human health and the environment from e-waste toxins. Under this directive, technical documentation is required for verifying compliance and conducting further business within the EU. RoHS2 requires safer substitutions for the following 6 restricted substances: polybrominated diphenyl ethers, polybrominated biphenyls, hexavalent chromium, mercury, cadmium, and lead. If any of these are used during product manufacturing, they must abide by RoHS2 concentration safety limits. The RoHS2 requirements apply to end products, specifically electrical and electronic equipment that fall within the scope of the directive. That means it applies to any company importing these types of products or conducting business within the EU. To achieve RoHS2 compliance, a set of substance safety limits must be met. To meet this limit, a substance must be measured by its homogeneous weight, meaning the substance at its raw level cannot be broken down into further different materials. Examples of homogeneous materials include glass, ceramics, metals, alloys, and paper. Currently, there are 11 categories for products that fall within the scope of RoHS2: large household appliances, small household appliances, computing and communications equipment, consumer electronics, lighting, power tools, toys and sports equipment, medical devices and equipment, automatic dispensers, all other electronic and electric equipment. Category 9 products, which are control and monitoring equipment, are currently exempt from RoHS2. There are exemptions in RoHS2 and there are permanent exclusions. Permanent exclusions are usually tools considered necessary and stationary in many cases. These include large-scale machines, construction, space, military equipment, and specific medical devices. When manufacturers, distributors, or others are placing products on the market within the EU, they must provide a RoHS2 disclosure, specifically a Declaration of Conformity, which demonstrates compliance with RoHS2. There are several steps involved. First, a Declaration of Conformity must be completed and submitted. Once the declaration has been approved, a CE trademark is issued. A product marked with a CE trademark is recognized as compliant under the regulation. All countries within the European Union are responsible for the enforcement of RoHS2. Implementation will be performed differently by EU member states. However, the core restrictions remain. Enforcement agencies for each country will send a request for documentation to manufacturers or industries operating within the EU. Those who don't comply with RoHS2 are subject to fines, penalties, and indictment. Products cannot be sold within the EU until the regulation is satisfied and CE trademarked. A recent directive amends EU RoHS2 to restrict 4 additional substances. The 4 new substances are all phthalates: bis-2-ethyl-exyl phthalate, benzoyl-butyl phthalate, dibutyl phthalate, and diisobutyl phthalate. The maximum amount a product may have of each of these phthalates is 0.1% at the homogeneous level. The most common application of these phthalates are as plasticizers in wire coatings. Expiring exemptions can work in 2 different ways. First, an exemption for which a renewal application was submitted in due time will remain valid at least 12 months beyond the date of the decision for application renewal. Second, exemptions for which no application for renewal was submitted in due time will expire as indicated in the RoHS2 directive or annexes. There are key dates for expiring references that can fluctuate under RoHS2. It is important to note that this regulation is a living document and not static. Therefore, new developments can be implemented yearly and dates are subject to change. Key dates for expiring references are July 21, 2021 for medical devices, monitoring, and control instruments. July 21st, 2023 for in vitro diagnostic medical devices, and July 21st, 2024 for industrial monitoring and control instruments. RoHS2 is continuously evolving and full of amendments. This means deadlines fluctuate and expire, which can make compliance very confusing. It's important that you are constantly collecting information from your supply chain to understand the contents of the products that you sell. The best way to comply is to collect product information from suppliers so you can understand the materials and substances contained in those products. Source Intelligence lets you collect supply chain data on all of your products. You can then compare your products to the list of substances covered by RoHS2. We'll also alert you to any changes to RoHS2. Our platform makes the daunting task of EU RoHS2 compliance straightforward and cost-effective. In summary, what is RoHS2? RoHS2 is an EU directive designed to protect the environment and humans from e-waste toxins. Who is responsible for compliance? RoHS2 impacts any company importing or conducting business within the EU, with some exceptions. How to comply? Collect information from your supply chain on the contents of the products you sell. Thank you for your attention. For more information, please go to sourceintelligence.com.